Welcome to our tutorial on fractions, and in this video we're going to introduce to you really what a fraction is all about, okay, so that you can get the basic idea as we go along. Now, a fraction is really a part of a whole, okay, and it is usually written in the form, for example, I could say a over b, where a this a here is called the numerator. Let me just write that. A is called the numerator, and b here is called the denominator. This b here is called the denominator. That's the denominator. Okay, good. Now, the a is always the number at the top and b is the number at the bottom, okay? Now, this white line here that separates the denominator and the numerator is called the vinculum. Vinculum, okay? Just giving you the characteristics and when a fraction is written in this form, what the name of each part, okay? So the a, the number at the top in a fraction, is called the numerator. The line that separates the numerator and the denominator is called the vinculum, and the number at the bottom is called the denominator. Now, it's very important that you know that the numerator, okay, so the numerator in a fraction, the numerator tells how many parts we're speaking about, okay? Tells us how many parts we are talking about, okay? And that's out of the whole. We are talking about. So that's what the numerator really does, right? Tells us how many parts that we're speaking about. And the denominator, let me just change my color. And our denominator, this basically tells us, the denominator tells us the total, and I'm going to write this in capital, the total parts in the whole, okay? So basically in a fraction, that's what the numerator tells us. It tells you how many parts you're speaking about, okay? And by that we mean you may be giving away or you may be receiving, and we're going to look at how we deal with that. And the denominator tells us the total parts there are in the whole, okay? Now, apart from this, these definitions on what each part represents in a fraction, it is always good to use diagrams, so it gives you a better appreciation of what you're dealing with, okay? And I think the diagrams really, it makes you understand the concept behind what we're speaking about. Now, this is exercise 1, okay? Now, let me say this circle here, let me just treat this as exercise number 1. Now, in exercise number 1, let's say this circle represents a pizza, okay? So Joy bought a pizza and she has divided her pizza into 4 equal parts. This round circle here, yeah. So she's planning to give away 2 parts, okay? She's planning to give away 2 parts of her pizza to her friend Roberta. So what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be shading the number of parts that Joy is going to give to Roberta. So she's giving away this part. So if you notice, I'm shading that part. So she gave away this part, and then I'm going to shade another part. So she's also giving away this part. Okay, guys? Now, how many parts did Joy give away? Well, if if I was asked to write how many parts Joy gave away as a fraction, then I would have to say Joy gave away. So Joy gave away a total of how many parts? We have to represent this as a fraction by counting the number of parts that she gave away. 1, 2. So she gave away 2 parts. So my 2 would go in my numerator because the numerator tells us how many parts we are speaking about. Okay? And then I would have to count the total number of parts there were in the whole, and I would have a 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So I would have a total of 4 parts. So Joy would have given away 2 parts out of 4 parts of her pizza. Okay, and if you notice, the denominator tells us the total parts in the whole. Now that's exercise 1, and they could ask us that question to write that as a fraction. And just let's look at another exercise. This is exercise number 2. Okay, guys. Now let's say we have a fraction bar here, and this whole has a total of 6 parts. Now I could say then that Bill has a chocolate bar, and he gave away 3 parts or 4 parts out of his total of 6 parts in the chocolate bar. And we can be asked to write as a fraction the number of parts that Bill gave away. So here we have Bill, and this is Bill's fraction bar, and Bill is giving away a total of 4 parts. So we would have to shade them. That's 1 part that Bill has given away. This would be another part. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and I'm going to shade another part here. So that would be 3 parts, and I'm going to shade another part. So this would be a total of 4 parts. So Bill has given away 4 parts. Let me just shade those so you can see it properly. Okay, let's shade those. Let me go this direction. Okay, good. Now Bill has given away a total of 4 parts out of his 6 parts, the total of 6 parts. Okay, so we could ask to write that as a fraction, and as a fraction basically you'd count the number of parts that we are speaking about, which is the total parts that he gave away. 1, 2, 3, 4. So Bill would have given away 4 parts out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts. So since there are a total of 6 parts, 6 goes in the denominator, and the number of parts he's giving away goes in the numerator. And when we're speaking about about fractions, guys, that's all there is to it. Okay, the numerator tells it is written in this form, something over something, and the numerator tells us how many parts we're speaking about, while the denominator tells us the total parts there are in the whole. Okay, it's that easy. Now, another important thing I would like to note before we end is that the denominator of a fraction cannot be equal to 0. Okay, so note carefully that the denominator of a fraction cannot be equal to 0. And guys, you can always check this for yourselves, and a simple way of checking it is by using your calculators. You could plug in your calculator 8 for example, you could plug in your calculator 8 divided by 0. Okay, you could plug in another example, -5 divided by 0. You could also plug in 0.2 divided by 0. Anything you plug in, anything that 0 is the denominator, you will get a math error. Simply means that it doesn't make sense. So this b here in my denominator, okay, it cannot be equal to 0. Okay, now feel free to rate or subscribe to this channel, or leave your comments if you have a question, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Bye.